Here we go again, huh?
Whoa, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like right out the gate, I really liked it. I wanted to watch it critically, I'll tell you. I was like ready to tear it down, but there was a lot of cool stuff in it and a lot of truly good stuff. I'm making this video to just emphasize what I think that the writers are doing because it's fun. So let's go for it. First, I want to thank my two newest and first ever patrons, Brian Hitchner and Dan from St. Louis. I've been at this YouTube thing for a bit, but it feels like this channel is sort of on the verge of being able to take off, and your support is what is going to make that happen. Links are below if any of you else want to join up. Minor spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, honestly not too much that isn't in the trailers. Theme number one. Falcon's military buddy is on assignment in Switzerland, and he pulls a gun on the super bad guy from the trailer, and he says, "I don't know how jurisdiction works here, but I'm gonna have to place you under arrest." Jurisdiction, like the authority to make legal decisions, is a big theme in Civil War. The question is mostly whether the mostly Avengers have the authority to fight battles in other countries. And this guy's comment might seem like a one-off thing, like why is he talking about jurisdiction in the middle of the fight scene? But this is actually the theme of the very first fight of the entire show, right? In the briefing, it seems like they're flaunting American borders or sovereignty and borders, maybe. But towards the end of the fight, the sort of like arbitrary end of the battle is they're flying towards foreign airspace and they can't cross this line. The battle is a success, not necessarily because they stopped the big bad, but because they stopped the big bad before they got to the borders. I don't know what they're gonna do with this, but this is a theme that's gonna be showing up in the show. A final piece of evidence for it, right? The bad guys that explicitly are said to be the people that want there to be no borders between countries. Again, not sure where they're going with this, but definitely interested in seeing where it goes.
Symbols are nothing without the women and men that give them meaning.
A focal point of the episode is the shield. Who is going to take up the mantle? The very last shot of the episode makes it clear that there's going to be this is going to be a big question. Cap is a hero and a soldier, but he is also a symbol. The cultural captain of America. DOD crowns a new Cap, gives him the shield, but like, why is he the legitimate Cap? From the way that they present it, it seems like they're setting up this new Cap to be somehow illegitimate. What decisions, this makes me wonder, like what decisions is he going to make that case? Probably, given the opening scenes, he's going to be the one that doesn't respect jurisdiction. Right, in superhero movies, the question is, from where do the heroes derive their authority?
Why the hell should I take orders from you?
The answer is usually, I can punch harder. That is so symbolically poignant. Because in our world, the question is, from where does America derive its moral authority to meddle in other countries' business? Is it because we punch harder? Because we spend more on our military? As I said in my Amanda Gorman video, this is the philosophy of might makes right. Walk softly and carry a big stick. This is different from her vision.
If we merge mercy with might into might with right.
It'll be interesting to see what the show does with this. To close symbols, I'm curious how they're going to treat the Cap arc, the sort of canonical, I'm not going to retread my other videos about this, but the general moral arc of Cap's character throughout the movies is that he goes from obedient soldier to rebel with a conscience. He fights the morally clear, obviously bad guys in Cap 1. Hydras are Nazi stand-ins. Borders and jurisdictions don't matter when you're fighting against Nazi stand-ins. They're bad enough, they need to be stopped. But in Cap 2, the Nazi stand-ins are secretly here. Like, they're within our ranks. They're pushing for a surveillance state, for violence within the country. And if the enemy is within, then dutifully following orders ceases to be a patriotic thing to do. Finally, in Cap 3, he drops the shield. He's done. More details in the other video, but this dropping of the shield, this is recognition that, like, whether or not we ever had it notwithstanding, America as it is today has lost the moral authority to reach beyond its borders and serve as world police. So like, what's next, right? Symbolically speaking, the shield is on the ground. Somebody has to pick up the shield, like literally and symbolically. So criticism of the state is only half the battle. Well, what do we do next? Where do we go from here? It'll be interesting to see where the show takes this theme. I don't know where it's going, but I'm super curious.
So, Mr. Barnes, are you still having nightmares?
No.
There's a notable absence of Marvel-tastic quips. Normally, Sam and Bucky are like throwing one-liners back and forth like they're ping pong balls at a frat bro beer contest, but like they don't interact at all in the entire episode. That said, it is hilarious to see the quip engine purring along during Bucky's therapy session of passive-aggressive with the notes. It's the only time in the episode that we ever get quips. I have not too many predictions. I don't want to make too many predictions here, but this reformed assassin goes to therapy is rich as fuck and has so much potential. WandaVision is about grief and grappling with the reality after loss. So Marvel is upping its emotional sophistication in its TV shows, and I was excited to see this in the therapy sessions because I'm excited to see this continuing trend, and I'm really interested to see where they go. As an aside, I don't know if you follow Pop Culture Detective on Twitter. I love his videos. But the way that he talked about the show, I was afraid it was going to be a morally vacuous buddy cop punch fest. After watching this episode, no, he's wrong. It's not where they're going. I could make an entire video about film depictions of men in therapy and what they mean. But this therapist is on something, right? She keeps quippily calling out Bucky and eventually says, if you are alone, that is the quietest, most personal hell. I've lived in America my whole life as a man. Masculinity as it is currently constructed is an extremely lonely way to live. I have more than one video's worth of thoughts on this, but I wanted to raise what this therapist brings up to plug two books. I've talked about Brene Brown already in my Arrival video, but bell hooks and Liz Plank have two books that I think should be mandatory reading for just about everyone. For the Love of Men and The Will to Change are about the epidemic of male loneliness and what's to be done about it. Links below. Go read them right now. The therapist says to Bucky that he needs to finally learn to open up. We all do. And these books are two places to start. Right now, the male lead is leaning on a woman for emotional support and emotional labor. But if Marvel somehow lays the groundwork for Sam and Bucky to develop their relationship and genuinely learn to support each other, that would be its own kind of groundbreaking. Related, if you remember, a huge plot point in Civil War was that Cap was lying to Tony, right? He's hiding something from Tony. Bucky had a violent past. He was responsible for the deaths of Tony's parents. Cap thought he was doing the right thing by keeping this information from him. He thought it would be easier. In the show, Bucky goes to Mr. Nakajimi's apartment intent on telling him that he was the one that killed his son. He wanted to make amends. But he lies. He puts up a masculine emotional wall, not unlike the one he built as he totally rudely bailed on his date and walked away. They're setting up something about lying, and I'm curious where they're going to take it. And not too hard to make a prediction that Bucky will have to learn the same lesson that Cap did. He'll have to learn to tell the truth. He'll have to see that we often do more harm to the people we love when we try to protect them from the truth. Short-term simpler, long-term toxic. And since you're never going to leave That Makes Sense to Me video without a connection to the real world, we can actually see this lesson on a social scale in the very real life actual real hero, Bryan Stevenson. His memorial for peace and justice in Montgomery is an incarnation of this truth, that reconciliation is not possible without responsibility and truth-telling.
I went to Berlin to see the Holocaust Memorial there. It's powerful. But one of the striking things to me about it is that when you go to Brandenburg Square, there are no words. They actually trust people to bring narratives about the Holocaust with them and enter a fairly abstract memorial and have a deep and meaningful experience. And it worked for me. But we knew that when we did this memorial, we couldn't do it without words.
The documentary True Justice explains this, as well as the film
There are 16
as played by an absolute specimen, which I'll link below. If the shield is laying on the ground and we have to pick who symbolically represents America, my vote is for him.
I spend most of my time in jails and prisons.
Also, this video is getting long, so I wanted to do a close read of the bank scene and compare it to The Banker. You know, the movie about where Nick Fury and Falcon get Beast to be the white face of their business. Comment below if you're interested in that comparison. Okay. I am stoked for where this show goes. I'm Charlie. This is That Makes Sense to Me. Thanks for watching.